for speaking to us. Now, training has obviously been quite disrupted over the last week or so. So what are the plans for you and your staff in the build-up to the Newcastle game?
Yeah, as you probably know, we had to close Carrington for 4 days. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Carrington was closed. The last training session before that break, we were only down to 8 field players and 3 goalkeepers. And on Tuesday, we resumed for training here. On the first day, we had 14 or 15 field players. Yesterday, it was 18 or 20, and today we had 25. So apart from Paul Pogba, we had all the players available in training, which is a massive improvement within 1 week to have 17 players more available, which is good. In fact, today everybody looked in good shape and in good health. So if everything stays like it is right now, and we don't get any further cases, I'm optimistic and positive that this will not be the case. Yeah, it will be difficult, not so easy for the manager to decide on not only on the starting 11 but also on the 8 field players sitting on the bench.
You are a man who has gathered a lot of respect and have many admirers for what you've done in your managerial career. But for you, even, what's the challenge been like to try and adjust to this difficult time in the world? You mentioned previously individual training programs to players and things. So, how good a challenge has it been for you, even?
I mean, if we're all honest, when I had my first game against Crystal Palace and the training session before, had anyone told us that this would happen, what happened in the last 10 days, I think nobody would have believed it. But if I'm honest, in Germany, we had this situation even 3-4 weeks ago. So there were 3-4 weeks ahead of us with that 4th or 5th wave. And quite a few players were positively tested there, also in my former club Leipzig. So what happened here was, as I said, 3-4 weeks later than it happened in Germany, for example. So for me, it didn't come as such a big surprise. Of course, I would have wished that it didn't happen, but it happened. And now I think for everybody, it's about to making the best out of it, making sure that we are being protected for the future, that we will have in the next 6 months no further cases. I know that there is no guarantee for that, but we can still make sure that we do everything that we possibly can within our club, inside the club, that it doesn't happen again.
You mentioned how many more people are back in training now. We also spoke to Marcus Rashford earlier in the week, who said he's really enjoyed being back with the group. So what's it been like to have everybody back together? And we've seen various social media posts. Everybody seems to have smiles on their faces. What's the sense like down at the training ground?
Yeah, we still try to keep distance. We are still regularly wearing masks, obviously not when we are training outdoors. The players all did their homework as far as I could tell from today. They were all looking good. They did their homework at home, either with treadmills or with bikes. If they had a garden, they could even do some training outdoors. So I'm pretty positive for the next upcoming games regarding the physical state. And now it's about, as I said, trying to develop the team tactically, finding the best possible balance of being still an attacking offensive team, which we will always be, and with all the players that we have in the offensive department, we should play like that. But on the other hand, also make sure that it's difficult against us to score and even to create chances. And this perfect balance is what it's all about, and we try to develop the team in all those aspects.
What is the team news ahead of the trip to Newcastle in terms of player availability?
Well, as I said, today we had 25 field players. The only one that was missing was Paul Pogba. Hannibal was, for the first time since I arrived in training, only having just come back from the Arab Cup. Unfortunately, for us and for him, he will be missing out again in January for the African Cup of Nations, so he won't be there in most of the time in January. But I watched the final until his substitution, so I'm fully aware that we have another good, talented, highly talented player coming from our own youth ranks, and hopefully after the African Cup of Nations, he can regularly train and be part of our group.
You've given minutes to quite a few youngsters already, actually, Ralf. So is that something that's important to you, giving youth its chance?
I think since the Busby Babes, this has always been part of the DNA of the club. And the same was true under Sir Alec Ferguson in those 27 years. And it's not only about youth, it's about being talented, having the right personality and mentality. And if those things come together, yes, of course, I want to play with as many as possible of those young players. And we have 3 or 4 or 5 of them already in our squad. And for me, it's important to develop those players.
The transfer window opens in January, so is there a sense that some business needs to be done in terms of players in or out even, or loans for players that perhaps aren't featuring under you at the moment?
Right now, my full focus is on the current players, getting to know them. We've been now together for more than 3 weeks, so I think I have a much better overview on all the players that we have currently. So for me, it's about developing those players, but if a player wants to leave because he thinks he will not get enough game time here with us, we can speak about that, but it's not only about what the player wants, it's also about the situation of the club. So 2 things need to come together if a player wants to leave. One thing is that he wants to leave, but on the other hand, also the needs of the club need to be satisfied.
Just finally, Ralf, this must be very different for you, sampling English football in the festive season for the first time. So how are you looking forward to this period, and what do you make of it so far?
I mean, I've watched Premier League football for the last 40 years, even when it was still the first division at that time. And I know what kind of big tradition this has in this country to play football over Christmas, on Boxing Day, on the 27th, on the 30th, even on New Year's Day or on the 2nd of January. So if somebody came across the idea to abolish that, you might as well, speaking about abolishing the 5 o'clock tea or the Queen or whatever. This is part of the tradition of this country, and I'm very much looking forward to being part of this for the very first time in my career. As I said earlier on, I think there might be 1 or 2 other issues that we could think about and seriously discuss. Is it really, well, in the future, does it make sense to still have 2 cup competitions? All other big European leagues have only 1, so this might be an issue worth talking about again. And of course, right now, we are also discussing if it makes sense to have 5 subs instead of 3. And my position is clear, we should have 5 subs. We have COVID times again. The reason why the 5 substitutions were implemented 1.5 years ago was COVID. Now we have a COVID situation again. We still have 18 field players on the team sheet, and therefore for me it makes sense to be able to substitute not only 3 but 5 players.
Great stuff, Ralf. Just finally, Merry Christmas to you from and to your family, from all of the Man United fans all over the world. Do you have a message for our fans?
Yeah, I mean, I wish everybody a Merry Christmas time together with their families. Let's hope and make sure that we can still play in front of our supporters in the future. This also means that we have to make sure also the fans themselves that they stay in good health, that they keep safe. This would be my wish to everybody, and hopefully we can see each other in the upcoming games, home games or away games. And I'm very much looking forward to playing in front of 75,000 at Old Trafford. And of course also all the best wishes for the new year to